Who says you can't? You do. Part 7. Fear, friend or foe. Too many people are thinking of security instead of opportunity. They seem to be more afraid of life than death. As a child, if you woke up facing the wrong side of the bed, you would feel scared for that moment. Nothing looks the same. The place where you sleep every night suddenly seems out of the ordinary. Everything's out of place, and panic begins to set in. But the more you start to focus and take a closer look, the more your surroundings begin to make sense. Relief takes over your emotional state, and you realize you had nothing to panic about in the first place. In order to make peace with fear, we need to take a closer look. Throughout our life, we have been bombarded with the notion that fear is a foe that should be avoided at all costs. I'm here to tell you that fear is actually the best friend some have never had. Fear has a tendency to send us unconscious messages that will benefit our life. Just like any best friend, it is telling you to step up and pick up your game. It might be an area of your life that you are lacking in, and all fear is there to do is remind you that you shouldn't forget about it and walk off. Think of it as your own success alarm clock that says, if you don't listen to me carefully in this instance, you can't get the most out of life. If we never get scared, it means we aren't taking any chances. Being scared also tells us that something important is happening, right? We must search deeper into the feeling and listen carefully to what it's telling us. Once we've achieved that, we will be able to see a new way in which to take action against fear. The more we attempt to eliminate fear instead of using it to our benefit, the more it feels like trying to put out fire with gasoline. This creates more fire and more fear. As I was writing this book, I was scared that my writing wasn't up to scratch. There was a period when I thought I was losing my touch, and it began to worry me. Knowing that I had to quickly question this feeling, I began probing. I discovered that I was feeling fear of not knowing whether this would resonate with people from all different walks of life. I wanted it to be adaptable to everyone, regardless of financial, religious, and social position. I knew that I had to align myself with fear, and, just as any good friend does, it reminded me when it was time to raise my standards. I went to people from all walks of life and gave them the same section to read. It was the chapter on questioning, and it seemed they were all fascinated. That was the power of getting to the heart of my feeling. Fear is looking at something with the worst possible outcome. Is someone really scared of snakes, or are they scared of getting bitten by a snake? Do they fear the tall building, or do they fear falling off the tall building? Are they really afraid of venturing into business, or are they afraid of failing? People are only scared of an outcome that is imaginary. The three initial questions I would ask are, 1. What am I really scared of here? Rather than thinking, I'm scared. 2. How can I view this differently? And what new beliefs would I have to implement in order for it to benefit my life? Would I have to believe that overcoming this fear is the only way to get the most out of life? 3. How can I use this to take action and help myself grow? Again, it is a process of deep questioning rather than just accepting. This is how we grow and exceed our expectations. Let's say you have made an important appointment to be somewhere at 3 p.m. on Monday. When the day comes, you hop out of the shower and realize it's already 2:40 p.m. Fear starts to kick in because you just missed the bus. All the positive thinking in the world isn't going to help you if the next bus comes at 2:55 p.m. So you now use the knee-jerk feeling of fear to support your action. You call the local taxi service and off you go. Your fear has taught you that next time you should plan better. This is a basic example, but one that seems to be very common in our society. In essence, if we don't align ourselves with fear in everyday life, we will never learn, and we all know that learning equals growth. Don't resist fear, embrace it. You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You must do the thing which you think you cannot do. Eleanor Roosevelt, you must give strong reasons as to why you want to overcome a particular fear. This will add purpose to its accomplishment. We play these new reasons with intensity every time the fear comes to mind. If we have a fear of snakes, but common sense tells us that there are none around, does it mean we won't be scared from the thought of them? We definitely will be, because it's only ever in our mind. A particular client of mine would almost be in tears when her friends would say, "How's your day been, Jess?" Seems pretty funny, but hearing a noise similar to that a snake would make caused her to shake in her boots. By enforcing new reasons why you want to overcome the fear, you break your neurological pattern and get into a different state. Surprisingly, it doesn't take long to condition a new one. It can happen so quickly that I've seen people's habits, phobias, and fears literally disappear in 1 week. It sounds simple enough, but how many people do you think take the time to do it? Not many, I can tell you. Or they will repeat, "This stuff doesn't work," because they don't believe how quickly they can turn their life around. In the face of fear, confidence is self-trust. The only way to build trust in your ability is to face and overcome your fears. I've always said there are two sides to ourselves, the scared guy and the inspirational guy. The scared guy is the weak one, and in the face of a fear, he will tremble. Think his life is about to end, and look for the closest exit. The inspirational guy is trying to help you, and will say, "You're not going anywhere. You're coming with me." He will drag you if he has to, and make you stare at the fear straight in the face. The question is, how do you empower and grow your inspirational side and weaken the other one? We must counteract fear in any way possible. We all know that when we are feeding a baby, we don't shove 2 steaks down its throat to ensure nourishment. The aim is to build your strength, so act as soon as fear shows itself, but don't kill yourself in the process. Let's look at a treadmill. For example, most would initially see running on a treadmill as being painful, too hard, embarrassing, or a waste of time. In order for us to shift our mindset, we must first sort out our belief system. We would begin to see the treadmill as being very pleasurable. It would represent a healthy life, a fit-looking body, confidence, strength, a must in order to be successful, and a step toward achieving a lot of things on your wants list. The major tip is to feed this little by little, so you could start by walking. Now, isn't that a different approach? Most would look at that equipment and automatically think running, which equals embarrassment and more pain, but start off by walking, and then suddenly, it doesn't seem that hard. If you hit it really hard the first time, it could come as a big shock and cause even more pain. It will be more fun this way, and more desirable the next time that scared voice tells you to run away. You will eventually want to push yourself to the limits and be much stronger when faced with your limiting side. Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the judgment that something else is more important than fear. James Neal Hollingworth, aka Ambrose Redmoon. Fear is also a physical emotion, so it means we have to counteract it with our body and get into a state of certainty. We know it's physical as much as mental and emotional because we feel fear throughout our whole body. You must get really physical and loud with yourself when encountering it. This rule can be applied to any fear we face, as we must learn to drag out the strength that lies within us. It's never a question of whether your strength is there, but rather what you do to drag it out. As time goes on and you begin to feed your strength, you will notice that you become fearful when you think of settling for the life that once made you unhappy. Just the thought of it pushes you to act even harder, because there is nothing scarier than living an undesired life once you have created a compelling vision of what you really want. 1. Ask yourself how you have overcome fears in the past. What did you do? Whom did you talk to? Who else has been in a similar situation and gotten through it? 2. Shift beliefs around the certain experience or objected value to its accomplishment and make it pleasurable. 3. Stay focused on the desired outcome. This will turn your fear into excitement. 4. Counteract your fear immediately. Use your body to get into a different state to overpower it. Write down all the great things you can attain from overcoming this fear. Keep your eye fixed firmly on these benefits. Your fears will soon turn into challenges, and those will turn into excitement. Fear of achievement. At Microsoft, there are lots of brilliant ideas, but the image is that they all come from the top. I'm afraid that's not quite right. I have heard so many people talk about top athletes, people who are worth massive amounts of money, or those who are in a great relationship. They say things like, "He was born to be a golfer," or "She has always been a smart businesswoman." I know, because I used to join in those conversations. We say it as if these people had no real choice in the matter. In some way we try to believe that it was planned out for them, and no matter which way they went in life, that's how they would have ended up. I don't see how any of you could be so ignorant. After witnessing the passion these people put into their success, if you are one of the people who have this thought, instead of lying to yourself and believing successful people are vastly different from you, I urge you to look fear in the face and prove yourself otherwise. Underachievers always pick out the few stories where people got everything on a silver platter and use that excuse when they hear of anyone achieving. For example, they will say things like, "He has a rich dad," "They were lucky," or "She did that in an era when new ideas were available to create." We all know that's only an attempt to shade the lack of action they are taking in their own lives. It's nothing short of garbage. There are more young, innovative, self-made millionaires now than ever before. There is even a saying in the financial world that billionaire is the new millionaire. It takes someone to be courageous and wise to recognize the hard work and determination of those who have achieved. By acknowledging that truth, it helps you respect the game a whole lot more. It even promotes the understanding that you're not the only one who has experienced or will experience hardship on your road, and that's inspiring. That some achieve great success is proof to all that others can achieve it as well. Abraham Lincoln. Being guilty of undermining achievers myself in the past, I have now come to realize that my limiting thoughts were just me being afraid of achievement. I never believed I could be great, so it was easier to escape in fear than to face the truth. What came to acknowledge is that the major difference with these great check-it achievers is that they conquered that restrictive view of success. Were they born programmed with that powerful mindset? Was their journey a perfect walk? Some of the greatest achievers have been through experiences we would never trade for. We live in the same world, with the same capabilities. Look at Tiger Woods. Regardless of his off-field antics, the guy is the best at what he does. Playing golf, of course. At the age of 5, he went on the show, "That's Incredible," and declared that by the age of 20, he would beat the best golfers in history. Do you believe he ever lost sight of that vision? No matter what challenges came up, that vision stayed cemented. He continued to create his reality around that concept. This is a man who worked extremely hard for his achievements. Woods even asked his dad to give him military-style coaching. His dad would be in his face or use loud and annoying noises every time he went to swing. He would do anything to distract Woods in a moment of concentration. Toward the end of the intense program, Woods did not budge when faced with these challenges, and his dad then told him that his training was complete. His father also mentioned that he now had the strongest golf mind on the planet. He wasn't wrong. Woods knew the importance of mental training, so much that he even hired a mind coach. Dr. J. Brunza would make him sit down and visualize hitting perfect shots over and over, the same technique of visualization we are learning in this book. Woods built an absolute belief system around his success. And who's to say there aren't 50 or 1,000 other potential better golfers than Tiger Woods? There may just be, but will they fight for their vision, or will they let their fear get in the way of achieving? Life is not to be feared or resisted. It is to be embraced, to be the best you can possibly be, and to live the life you dare to dream. We see the effects of great achievers' success, like the money they spend and the way they live, yet we rarely take the time to find out how they did it. We ignore that these achievers are just normal men and women who decided to pursue their true potential. We neglect everything that came before: their persistence, their compelling visions, their passion, or the strength they had to build. All these things needed to be conditioned. Albert Einstein once said, "I'm not particularly intelligent or particularly talented. I'm just very, very curious." Oprah Winfrey is a woman who was sexually abused and who lived in poverty as a child, but her passion for life became so overwhelming that she had to live it the best way she knew how. The guys from Google are another example of defying the odds and starting off small, in their garage, competing against Yahoo, the larger company at the time. It almost seems impossible to think that someone could actually achieve so much in one lifetime, let alone a few years. They all came to a point in their life where they decided they would never settle, but rather go on a quest for their dreams, no matter what challenges came their way. When you surrender to this commitment, the world smiles with you, and you get breaks you never believed possible. You don't have to want to make billions or even millions of dollars. It is entirely up to you. It's whatever makes you happy. Just understand that taking a chapter out of the book of some of the greatest is the best start to obtaining what you want. I have researched and met some of the greatest succeeders I know, and there are patterns. This book is based on those very patterns. They all stopped thinking, speaking, acting, and believing that they had no purpose in this world, and began learning how to add value. They learned to use fear to grow, researched what successful people did before them, and lived by the exact strategies and values you are reading, rather than escape in their fear. Appreciating other people's success is vastly important when enhancing our own. Being jealous or in disbelief will distance you from ever understanding the qualities you have within you. We must look at them and find out what they did differently from everyone else. As soon as you start doubting them, or believe that it was luck or coincidence, you fall back into the mass of underachievers. When you start to question and get intrigued by others' success, that's when you enter the minority of the greatest achievers in the world. Every person who wins in any undertaking must be willing to cut all sources of retreat. Only by doing so can one be sure of maintaining that state of mind, known as a burning desire to win, essential to success. Napoleon Hill, having the ability to quickly and intelligently change the way you feel in times of emotional challenges is critical on the road to achievement. It's time for us to raise the bar and take enormous action. The following tasks are things you are going to apply to your daily lives, so saying you don't have the time is unacceptable. Remember, you signed the contract at the beginning of the book and said you were ready for change. If you do not want to act, then close the book and pack it up. You cannot be helped unless you are willing to help yourself. If you want to excel, then make it happen. Look at yourself in the mirror and repeat this 10 times before you start each day for the next 7 days. Make sure you get very vocal, emotional, physical, and forceful until it gets you into a complete mega state of certainty. I am in control of shaping my whole life through my state of mind, the emotions I choose, and the actions I take every day. No matter what challenges I am faced with in these next 7 days, my spirit will display and direct my strength to my success. It will empower me to do it forever. I can do anything I want in my life. By doing this every morning for the next 7 days, you will prove your commitment to yourself. It makes what you are doing concrete and helps condition your state immediately. All people with extraordinary lives are able to change their state in an instant. That is the advantage they have over the masses. What is worth more than your life? What are you willing to do to enhance it? Are you really committed to changing your course of direction forever? Is your truth telling that you are doing enough as it is? It doesn't matter how much you are doing toward empowering your life, it's still not enough. The moment you think you have done enough is the moment you stop growing. Since belief is all important, it behooves you to guard your thoughts. And as your beliefs will be shaped to a very great extent by the things you observe and think about, it is important that you should command your attention. Wallace D. You have already been implementing great changes with the previous tasks, but now we are stepping it up. When you start thinking of something that makes you feel down, worried, or stressed, you know that it's only because of your choice of focus, and it must be corrected immediately. You must look at the effect that every thought is having on your success. Once you look at the effects of your thoughts rather than just thinking them, you jump off the automatic wheel, and you are able to enhance your life. Being aware of the power of your thoughts is absolutely crucial for attaining happiness and gaining what you set out for. Only by doing this are you able to begin forming the mindset of the most successful people in history. Don't deliberate about the disempowering thoughts too much. Just block them out with as much power as you possibly can and replace them with something that you love, something that makes you happy, or something that would put you in a state of excitement or fulfillment. A projection of a desired vision you have put in place for yourself or something that you really appreciate is a great way to shift your focus and emotion immediately. Even if you feel that you shouldn't, it doesn't matter. You must. If there is a secret to true fulfillment and achievement, it's being able to take control of your mind. I don't care what you have to do to get that thought out of your head. You must do it. Scream at yourself or forcefully let yourself know that thought is not going to take control over your life anymore, and repeat the new thought over and over. One day my auntie thought I was crazy because she heard me screaming from outside my house. She said it sounded like a lion that hadn't eaten in a week. Quite a funny comparison, I thought, because that's how hungry I felt for my success. Good aggression is different from anger. Don't be mistaken. It's fine to get forceful with yourself and is necessary in some challenging situations. No matter what it is or how challenging it may seem, you have to fight. Keep repeating that it's going to be okay, that it's all in your mind, and that you have full control of yourself at all times. There is always another way of looking at something. You choose the way you feel through your choice of thoughts. Tell your mind that you are now in control and you are not going to let it wander. To determine if a thought is having a detrimental effect on your life, you must examine the feeling you get from it. You must have that army always ready at the entrance of your mind. For example, if you are thinking, "I can't make it," you will quickly repeat, "I can make it, I can make it," over and over with more force. This is training your mind, and what goes on in your mind determines the outcomes you get in life. You must maintain focus on your new direction. Even after a week, you will notice that disempowering thoughts diminish just by being aware of them. Proper attention doesn't just miraculously appear, it needs to be directed and deliberately commanded with intensity. We previously covered the importance that your language has on your life. Now it's time to monitor and course correct for the empowering options. Go back to the list of options in the verbal action section, page 143, and use that as a guide. For these 3 days, there are to be no negative connotations or limiting words whatsoever. Speak with confidence and enthusiasm. Every time you say can't, impossible, I'm drained, or too hard, you are to correct yourself immediately. Even by staying conscious of this, you will break your old patterns and the emotions you experience throughout your day. You will make your day surprisingly better just by doing this exercise. When people complain to you, do not join in. The results you see from this are actually going to make you laugh after the week is over. You will be wondering why you ever chose to shape your life with your previous discussions. Avoid the news on TV, in newspapers, or anything else that can implant negative thoughts in your mind during this exercise. This way you will not be able to talk to others about these emotionally draining topics, unless you are using it to benefit yourself or others. It will force you to come up with intelligent things to discuss an important aspect to living a happy life. This also goes for the way in which you are going to hold your body in the next 3 days. When you are humble, yet confident, you become a powerhouse. Don't be egotistical or walk around like you have a stick up your backside, because it may just have the opposite effect on what you want to achieve. It's not brain surgery to figure out how to stand confidently. Unless you are aware of your actions, you will never achieve or be fulfilled. Take as much physical action as you can toward one of your wants on your list. Emails, phone calls, browsing the internet for information, and speaking to people are all taking action. It will build up. Are you ready to explore? This is the task where you turn your fear into excitement and explore your ability to enrich your life experience. This exercise is so important to every part of your life that it absolutely must be completed. Do something that you have always wanted to do, or think of something new. Bungee jump, skydive, ice skate, go to an improv or cooking class, drive a go-kart, paint, talk to that person at the office or your coffee shop who seems cool, submit a short story to a publication, go to the gym, rock climb, or do whatever you can think of. If you're 65 years old and you think you're too old to go paintball shooting, then think again. I was up against one such player the last time I went. Let's just say I got my butt kicked. That senior could shoot, not to mention the team of girls digging into me as well. My point is that there are no excuses, only fear. Put that fear on the shelf for one day and do something that electrifies your spirit. No matter what it is, if it's pushing the boundaries for you, then do it. We get so caught up in routine that we forget to live. We experience the same emotions day in and day out. In order to create happiness in your life, you must stay excited and have something to look forward to. Set this challenge up, but most important, enjoy it.